Good morning. This is Dee Reinhardt, and today we are going to be talking about careers and trends on 3 different sessions, and this is the first one of 3. This session will be on manufacturing, and it's part of our Exploring Careers series, so I hope you've been able to join us for some of our other ones. Let me tell you a little bit about our presenter. His name is Jim Nelson. He is the Vice President of External Affairs with the Illinois Manufacturers Association, which we call IMA for short. Welcome to our presentation, Jim.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. I want to take a little running start here in terms of manufacturing careers and trends. If you can advance that slide for me, Dee. After or following World War II, there was a public opinion shift based on events that occurred during the war. Essentially, if you were a high school graduate or below, you were an enlisted man, and you rarely rose above the rank of sergeant. But if you had any college, any at all, even one semester, you were tapped for officers candidate school, and that mentality came back to the United States in post-World War II. Many of the officers, of course, went on to complete their college degrees and entered the white-collar workforce, while most of the enlisted men returned and went into blue-collar work. This gave a stigma, I think, to manufacturing jobs as being less than desirable for the average person. And perhaps in the old days of repetitive motion production processes, that was a true statement. But that's no longer the case. And really, manufacturing is not a consolation career any longer. It is a high-demand, high-paying, career-oriented option that students can follow. And we're not just talking about students who might not otherwise go to college or are the usual kids that we sort of direct toward the career and tech education area. We're talking about highly skilled people in math, et cetera, engineers, marketing professionals, sales professionals, et cetera. So when we look at what the skill sets are for the basic characteristics, and Dee, if you'll advance the slide, please.
What I'd like to do before we do that, I'd like to do a poll of everybody and see if they think they know what the characteristics are. So if everybody that's listening wants to take a stab at what's go up there on the screen. How are they doing, Jim?
Pretty good, it looks like.
All right, we're going to give them just another second or two to make sure that they've read the answers here.
Okay.
All right.
I like the one that can only work 9 to 5.
I work from home, and I don't even work from 9 to 5.
There you go. Here's
right,
the
we're gonna hide this poll and move on here.
Okay. You were absolutely right. Having strong work ethics is probably the most important. And a lot of those things underneath there on that list fall under that work ethic definition. Being able to, when I was in college, I was in radio and television, and our mantra was, don't show up at 9:01 for a 9 o'clock newscast. And the same is true of manufacturing. We don't show up at 7:30 when the shift starts at 7 o'clock. We actually show up at about 10 till so that our machine is up and running and ready to start production at 7 o'clock. So that promptness and attendance, those soft skills, are really critical to anybody being successful in manufacturing today. And then working as a team member. More and more we are working in teams in manufacturing. because different people bring different skill sets to the floor, and that way if we don't know something, there's a good chance somebody on my team is going to be able to. And that comes into in critical. Let me start that sentence again. That is critical to success in manufacturing, because using critical thinking skills on today's equipment in particular, an individual working on the floor has to understand what is going on at all times with his machine, with his raw materials, with his finished product, so that if something goes wrong, we know immediately whether we have a hardware, software problem, a hydraulic or electrical problem, or a raw materials issue. So that if a machine goes down, that is going to cost, on average, about $10,000 an hour of lost production.
Oh, my
We
goodness.
don't want to do that. So having those critical skills of being able to analyze what's going on at all times, to understand what is my strongest skill set. If I don't understand completely the hydraulic system, who on my team is the person to go to right away. So those thinking skills, understanding that, when a blueprint comes down from engineering and we have to input the Y code into the machine, and we're building things today at tolerances of 1/10,000th of an inch, and we do have capability to go to almost 1/1,000,000th of an inch of tolerance. These critical thinking skills really become even more important, as does good math skills, so that people can translate decimals from fractions, and vice versa. Folks on the floor who like to work with their hands, manufacturing is an ideal place for them, whether or not they're the top math student at the high school or they struggle with it. Working with the hands is what we do. We've had several instances, anecdotally, I can tell you, that we've had four-year graduates from engineering schools come and work in manufacturing and leave the engineering spaces to come down and work on the floor simply because they preferred to work with their hands more than anything else.
That's really a nice antidote.
Yeah, it is, and it can work both ways, too. You have to remember that manufacturers have, for years now, been willing to continue the education and training of every one of their employees. The average manufacturer today spends over $1,500 each year on each employee for continuing education. And most of our guys will pay the tuition for an associate's degree, and also offer a tuition reimbursement plan for those who continue on for a work-related bachelor's degree. So our guys get it in terms of keeping people engaged and always learning throughout their career.
Jim, we've got a question from the audience. It might be really good to talk about it right now. What are the certificates that are most requested by employers who are looking for workers right now?
Those employers who will actually tell you that they're looking for certificates, there's basically three based on the number of employment opportunities available. One we truly believe is the MSSC, Certified Production Technician, which is the basic skills for all manufacturing regardless of what your product is. The second one is in the machining spaces, and that's the NIMS credential. And the third one is the American Welding Society's. At the high school level, it's the SENSE, S-E-N-S-E program. But in the community college level, it's the Certified Welding Inspector. Now, a lot of manufacturers will tell you credentials aren't important to them, that the soft skills are more important to them. I've had manufacturers say, if you can just get them here on time the second day, I'll teach them the rest of the way everything they need to know. That should be telling us very loudly that even if an individual receives a credential, unless they can show up on time on a consistent basis and meet the soft skill side of the equation, you can have a PhD in machining and it's worthless.
And we've heard that for many years now, Jim, and I think that's a very strong point to stress to everybody, being able to communicate, show up to work on time, follow directions. All of those things are the soft skills that employers want.
And if the schools will ask their local manufacturers to come in and help, really drive those points home, I know a number of our member companies are more than willing to go into the classroom and say, these things are important and here's why. And that can really help to underscore what you're already trying to teach in the classroom from somebody from the outside, so that the kids get it from both a potential employer of theirs, plus, they know now that their teacher's just not pulling their chain.
Right.
So
for the audience, can we spell out these certificates, and I'll type them into the chat pod? MSSC stands for?
Manufacturing Skills Standards Council.
Skills Standards Council.
Right.
And then NIMS is?
The National Institute for Machining Skills.
Institute for Machining Skills.
Yeah.
And the
AWS is the American Welding Society.
Society.
Right. Those are the big three. Now there are more than 450 credentials available in manufacturing. I've listed these three organizations as kind of the main ones, but there's also the American Society for Quality. We need good quality technicians. And they have a number of credentials that cross-cut both manufacturing, healthcare, laboratory work, R&D work, etc. So that one could come into play very nicely for somebody. We can sit here all day and do the alphabet soup.
Sure.
But if anybody is interested in that, I can send the entire list of all 450 credentials that are available out there, and I'd be happy to make that available.
Well, maybe we can add that. Maybe we can add that list to our posting for this presentation on the website.
Okay, I'll send that to you immediately after I finish here, and maybe you can get it up before the end of the webinar.
Great.
So what are the trends? Yeah, let's move on to the next. What are the trends for careers in manufacturing? Following the Great Recession in 2008, 2009, manufacturing employment shrank from about 600,000 to about 575,000 today. However, production is still at all-time highs, and that is because we've improved automated systems, expanded capacity of those systems, etc. So we are looking for about 26,000 production workers every year through 2027, and those one-third of those would be in those core type occupations of machining and welding, or the actual title is metal fabrication and joining. And those are those NIMS and AWS credentials. So for many community colleges, those core classes that they're already teaching and have been doing such a great job at for several years, those will continue to be needed. Where we're going, however, is technology doesn't stand still. So we are going to be always expanding. The digital manufacturing lab in Chicago is going to be identifying new job skills that we can't even imagine what they are yet. There's going to be continued development of composite materials, both in metal and in polymers and plastics and other types of materials. So those skill sets in terms of how to manipulate those raw materials into either component products or finished products is going to continually evolve forever, essentially. So people coming into manufacturing as a career, and that's why it's not just a job anymore, it really is a career that requires continuing education and training. That's why these expanding skill sets to be cross-trained in different disciplines and different materials is going to become more and more important as we go forward. So that continuing education, as I already said, is going to be absolutely critical.
Oh,
let's turn the
very
page.
Definitely.
And let's turn the page.
All right, my clicker wasn't going for me.
Okay, all right. So, what are the best ways to stay abreast? There's a couple of really good publications that have been around for eons, Popular Mechanics and Popular Science, and I still read these, and they pretty much stay abreast of the latest technologies, and even though some of them are speculative, Popular Science had the stealth fighter identified 2 full years before the federal government acknowledged the existence of the stealth fighter.
Wow.
So, it's things like that that are going to, stay in the forefront. Your students should be watching programming about manufacturing on the Discovery Channel, Learning Channel. Mike Rowe is coming out with yet another series on jobs and careers that are available out there. Start clubs very early on in Skills USA or First Robotics. Project Lead the Way now has project-based learning activities in the K-5 space called Launch that will be joining Gateway to Technology, which is their middle school space program that feeds into Project Lead the Way. And for those schools who are offering Project Lead the Way and would like to expand some capacity there to students who kind of struggle with math, Project Lead the Way, of course, is calculus-based. But there's another program out there called Engineering by Design, and that is algebra-based. So it helps bring along those kids who are struggling a little bit with algebra and hopefully can up their game in math, and then they can transition into a Project Lead the Way area. There are several associations out there that one can join.
I've got a link there, Jim, so that if somebody downloads the handout, that link is live, and it has a list of all of the associations that relate to manufacturing in one way or another. So I think there was a list of 50 or more on that list.
Right, and then there's the Dream It, Do It, IL.com website. Dream It, Do It is a national brand that the IMA has purchased a license for Illinois for. And Dream It, Do It is a platform for students, for teachers, parents, and manufacturers. And it's kind of the clearinghouse that the Manufacturing STEM Learning Exchange is using to list links to curriculum, to associations, to employers, to basic information on careers in manufacturing. Soon we hope to add lesson plans and best practices. We do have some best practices up there. There are videos on there to get classroom discussion going. I think the real key to a successful endeavor here is to use and encourage your students to use social media, the Dream It, Do It site. We will hopefully be adding a chat room. Many of you have probably heard that the IMA is the license holder for Inspire, and that will be coming online with the regions hopefully in the next several months. That will give us some very good data on what employers are doing around the state to engage in providing work-based learning opportunities. The last thing I want to mention is that we are looking at developing an apprenticeship model for Illinois that could start as early as the senior year in high school, or even first year community college. It would be based on the German apprenticeship model with some Austrian and perhaps some Swiss influence in there. But the apprenticeship in terms of work-based learning is the top of the pyramid. It is I think the most holistic approach for work-based learning, and it's a matter of developing the system that can meet employers' needs, as well as putting together a program of study that works for both the school system and for employers. So stay tuned for that. There'll be information coming out on that as early as this week, talking about the statewide Inspire license. So we'll try and keep you up to date on that. Border communities such as Iowa schools access IMA materials, absolutely. dreamitdoitil.com, and or they can call me direct. I think my information, I'll send that along with.
Well, it's on the second slide of the presentation as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just we know that in border communities, whether it's Chicago or Quad Cities, Rockford or Metro East, that there is workers travel back and forth with it's like Doctors Without Borders. There are no borders, and what happens in those regions affects both sides of the state border. So absolutely, we'll be happy to engage with those schools.
Jim, we have a question that came up earlier that I wanted to wait just a little while to ask you the question so that you can answer it with your full attention. Marcus asked, why are manufacturing jobs now in high demand, and what is preventing employers from filling those positions?
There's a number of things. Chiefly is the retirement of the baby boom generation. That accounts for the bulk of the large number of jobs that are available. There is a second, much smaller group of jobs that are being reshored that 15, 20 years ago were sent, some component parts were being manufactured in China or Brazil or India or even Russia, the so-called BRIC countries. Those are coming back now, particularly because in the case of the Chinese, they finally figured out what the middle class meant and really started demanding wage increases so that they could have the same things as American middle class. So that has increased the cost of doing business there to the point where it's actually now cheaper to bring those processes back to the U.S. What is preventing employers from filling the positions? I think more than anything else is the perception of manufacturing of being dirty, dark, and dank. I have been encouraging employers to quit going to job fairs when the job fair is at the school, and to host a job fair at their plant. Get people in. Let them see that what a manufacturing plant looks like today. And when we do that, I really encourage them to get three groups of people to come through the doors. Number one are students, of course, so that they can see what options are available to them. Because it's not all just production work. The front office work, right now we're experiencing significant difficulty in finding accountants. So, without people knowing accounting, it kind of impacts the billing and the receivables, and really kind of hurts that process as well. And as I mentioned earlier, sales, marketing, purchasing, etc. The other group of people I want to make sure are in there are guidance counselors. so that we can start the conversation at least of manufacturing occupations being as desirable as a four-year institution where there may or may not be a job at the other end, but a whole bunch of student loan debt. And the third group I want in there are moms. I don't care how old you are, we don't do anything that doesn't please mom. And mom needs to know that that career in manufacturing can lead to that college degree, which is which is always the goal. I'm not trying to scare people away from going to college. That is always the goal. But how we get there and when we get there is becoming different for every individual. And a career in manufacturing can really help people get that college degree without significant debt. I hope that answered your question, Marcus.
Well, Jim, I think one of the things might be is some of the people, I know we mentioned earlier that having the soft skills is very important to employers, but in some cases they want some of those basic, like a safety, an MSSC safety certificate. So there are, right now we do have the Illinois WorkNet manufacturing, the ADAM program going on. I posted that link in the chat pod a little bit earlier, and you are able to go through that program and get an MSSC certificate. So sometimes those simple certificates could help you find yourself in a position with a manufacturer. What other things might be preventing an employer from hiring somebody?
Those are the two big things, soft skills and hard skills. Because the soft skills are so encompassing because they include being able to pass a drug screen, being honest on the criminal background question, which is really becoming a litmus test question on honesty. We want people to be able to say, I dropped a screw in the machine right here, so that when the mechanic comes, that we only have to take off one plate and there's the screw instead of tearing down the entire machine to find the thing. So timeliness, proper attire, not showing up to be a welder in flip-flops and Bermuda shorts. I mean, it's a lot of common sense things that our guys are continually battle almost every day. So soft skills, hard skills, flexibility, working as a team member are absolutely critical importance. And the other thing that we're running into, this has really become evident in Germany right now, the number of children that the baby boomers had is less than the number of baby boomers. So until about 2022, we are actually going to see a smaller workforce available for the number of jobs that are available.
I think they call that a worker dearth, don't they?
Yeah, or labor surplus.
Right.
The labor surplus is going to make it more competitive to get people to fill jobs. So for workers, it should be a better environment to demand higher wages and better benefits. At the same time, the demands for production of component and finished product is going to continue to increase. So so already, both here in the United States and more markedly in Germany, employers are actually paying a premium to keep people from retiring.
All right.
So that is a phenomenon that we're going to have to deal with over the next probably 8 to 10 years until the millennials really come into the job market beginning in about 2020, 2022.
Jim, we have a question from the audience. It says, will there be programs to help the disabled participate in manufacturing? I'm assuming that's the balance of her question.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of occupations already that the disabled can participate in, particularly assemblers and packers, things like that. And depending on the disability itself, quality technicians, program writers, etc. It would probably, well, here we go. Oh, okay. Somebody's writing what I'm saying. How about that?
It's me.
Okay. So hopefully that answers the question. It's, manufacturing today, I think, is a little more welcoming of those with disabilities than it was even 15 years ago because of the increased safety factor on newer equipment. But, it really depends on what the disability is and the severity of it. So that's my answer.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Just a couple of other things here on what are the best ways to stay updated in manufacturing. A couple of things that other people can do. As you notice, there's that link on the sheet that says Industry Week. There is actually a publication called Industry Week. And then INC has some information about manufacturing and business in general. There are other publications that might be industry specific, and then another tool that you can use is you can always set up a Google alert for a specific topic. Maybe it's MSSC. You set up a Google alert, and anytime MSSC is mentioned, you would get that alert in your email. And then you can always sign up for e-newsletters from industry organizations to help you stay abreast of the information in that particular industry path. We do have somebody typing, but while they're typing, I'm going to thank Jim Nelson from the Illinois Manufacturers Association for joining us this morning. He gave us a wealth of information, and we appreciate your time this morning, Jim. Thank you so very much.
It was my pleasure. And if QCCC is typing, just want to see if it's a question that I can answer before I jump off.
We're gonna wait for that. If you want to join us, we do have another session on information technology coming up, as well as one on healthcare. We do record all of these sessions and save them and post them on Illinois WorkNet on our website as well as on our YouTube channel. So if you want to find those postings and watch it again or share it with a friend, you're welcome to do that. So we do have a question from QCCC. It says, do you think that the way we are currently teaching our high school students about manufacturing is perpetuating the old school dirty stereotype of the field? How can we fix or avoid this?
Well, that depends on the school, and I'm not going to try and pick apart one curriculum over the other, mainly because manufacturing has been so critically important to the success of the United States over time. I mean, if the U.S. Did not have the steel making capacity it did in 1941, the U.S. would never have won the war. So, it is a part and part of our fabric, has been and always will be. I think the best way to get away from the old stereotypes is take a look at your textbooks and look at the pictures. Do they look like they're 1960 or 1970 photos, or are they CNC machines or very modern, dust-free environments? In other words, where people are fully garbed to avoid dust, etc. The other way is to get into a relationship with a local manufacturer that you can take your students to and visit it. We can look at pictures in books all day long, but it doesn't replace actually going to a plant, touring the plant, and talking to the people on the line. What do they like about their job, and things like that. So, again, getting people into plants today will change the perception faster than anything else we can do.
That's wonderful. I do see one other person typing, and I'm not sure. All right, great. So she agrees with you about visiting plants.
Right, and I'm not trying to downplay the importance of college or the importance of white-collar work or what have you. One of my goals is to elevate career and tech ed to the same level as college prep.
Great. Well, thank you again, Jim Nelson from Illinois Manufacturers Association, for joining us today. We are going to end our recording right now so that we can prepare for our next session. So have a great rest of your day, Jim. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, everybody who attended and participated on today's Manufacturing Career and Trend webinar. Have a great day.